Hey people, I believe my channel's back online. It's been down for 2 weeks. I've been posting on my two backup channels. I cleaned that movie up and put it on this one and they took it down too. So I've been posting on this one and I'll get them all moved back to this channel, all except one. I don't believe I'll be able to put on here. I got 2 licks and I'm gonna have to wait about a month before I try anything ballsy. I'll get these 5 moved to the channel, and I'm not going to try this one because I know they're waiting to hit my other channel. And I got 6 on this channel that I can move over, but I want everybody to get subscribed over here to Jesus Christ. I got no licks on this, just a warning. So anything that's hairy, I'll be putting it over here. So I was feeling a little ill when I started this other day, so I might start off slow. I'm going to bust this myth of these Nephilim giants. I got a bunch of these old pictures of Noah's Ark here. Come out of different Bibles. You can see this is the Arca, A-R-C-H-A-N-O-E. Arca Noe. And here it is, the Arca Noe. And it appears to be mermaids in the water. And you see he got a collar on his dog and his cat. But his lizards and his rat don't. They were stowaways. This Bible tells that it was about the astrology. And most of them show, 8 people on board the boat. Noah, 3 sons, and 4 wives. You see it's 4 wives, 3 sons, and Noah. So this one shows the throne, his and hers bathrooms down in the bottom of the hole. And the rooms are 7 by 6. It has the arch up in the middle at the top. And it has what looks like a cooking fire. And you see the colors rotate every 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 1, 2, 3. And then they step back. That tells me it has to do with the moon and tides. You see the moon stage here, and every day, and the sunrise and set. You see the tide moving 30 minutes every day. And so you have a different angel up, and when the angel lines up, you see the good fishing days. No fishing here. And then you have these good fishing days when the tides get right. And then it slows down. And then you get the good fishing days come in again. And you see the same thing in the Keys of Solomon and the magical treatises where they rotate. And in the book of hours and stuff, you'll see you have different angels for different hours every day. So it goes 7, 14, 21, 28, and then it lines up again. It goes back to the same every moon cycle. You see here he's pulling in the lion, and there's 8 on the boat. And you see the dot between words here. And this is the title, Let's Know. And then this is the old symbol. Sometimes it's the RX. And it means revolutions. You see it on the old picture of... You see we're talking about the revolution of the planets here. The heavens, the stars, and Saturn, the sun, Mercury. And then when they didn't have room to write down here at Mercury, they just changed it to this symbol. Looks like our drug symbol, revolutions. So that's taken the place, this word, revolcom. And being that it's backwards, it's possibly a symbol that means per. Processiato, the title, Let's Know, Processiato, the precession of the equinoxes. And so that's what was going on in Noah, as they were rewriting the calendar because the magic wasn't working anymore because of the recession of equinox. And this one tells off here, the spider here, the arachnid, the arcane. You know, they just say that it's arachnid, French from Greek, spider, any of the eight-legged creatures, spiders, scorpions. You know, it always tells me where the word comes from here. You know, if it comes from English and it's an old word, or it comes from the Hebrew Bible, they just say they don't know where it comes from. But here, you know, they're saying nothing. They're just saying it comes from arcan, from meaning a spider. But that's what it means, is eight. And it's the arca, no, the arcane. You can see it in this picture here. This might be the feut, the felony, you know, killing somebody with your shovel. And this appears to be Moses. You know, it says here, Moses, when he killed the guard that was beating the Egyptian, but it looked like they both have a club. They were both putting up a fight. And you see, he's got a little skinny head, and Moses got a big head and horns, and he got a big head here, and that might be a third eye poking out. Might be a curl in his hair. But he definitely got a big old head like Moses here. So you know this is Moses' people over here, the big heads. And then here on this Noah's Ark, you know, you can see the eight with a rooster in a hand, a dog and a cat, Noah and wife, and looked like a parrot, and probably the raven. You know, the raven was white. There's an ancient story about the raven was white until he brought fire and stole the fire to bring light to earth, and he got burnt, turned black. So arcane, arcanus, arcano, hidden secret. You know, to shut up and close a chest, understood by only a few. And the arcane, you know, is the Greek spider. They say it comes from daughter of Idiom was her name. But in the Greek mythology, the daughter, you know, daughter is also is always followed by the T. You know, it's the Ben is the son and the Benet. You know, the T is the writings, the mark of. You know, and so when you see daughter, it usually means the writings of something. And then the ID, the hand from on, the hand them on. The daughter, hand them on. And then the of, you know, you can replace it with an L. The same as the N, you can replace it with a B. Local of on, you know, PH is Q or F. The local of on. And then in Lydia actually means B-L-Y-D-I-A. The bleed through, D-I-A through. The bleed through, a dyer in purple. But you see on the four corners of this, it has this 8-pointed star of Melchizedek. On all four corners, gold leafed. And you see all the people in the water, in Noah's Ark images. You know, they never seem to be any bigger than the people that's on the boat. They're not giants. But you see here, it's the arcane, the arcano, the 8. And here it's got an L at the beginning, at the end, but it means of the arcane, O-L. And L is, you know, God's, the L. So I was reading here in Deuteronomy 22:4, and I run up into this word. You know, this is the same word as Nephilim, except it doesn't have the E in front of it, which is just the Nephilims. They say it means to fall down. And so it comes up 7 times like this. You know, they say it means to fall down. We're lying, fallen, fallen. And this word A-L or O-L, you know, is, you just say it's on. And here they put it in the same category. They're fell or defected. Like somebody had jumped the border, defected from Russia. And you can see this the nipple here before that, NPLU, and it caused them to make this mistake because it just wouldn't make sense if they had put Manasseh there, defected on David, and that's why they changed that. You can see words like apple, A-P-L-E. That's the closest thing you're going to get to apple in here. Apple, A-P-I-L. Fall. Fall. But you see this word down here comes up 8 times, and it's the exact same word that's used for the Nephilim in Genesis that fell. Deserters, fall, deserters. But these are the words that give that meaning, to pull, P-L, to pull, and to topple is to fall. Topple. Just the T-P-L, top of, topple. If I'm going to take a tree out, first I top it. I climb up it and cut the top out, topple. But this is that word in Genesis 6, the Nephilim, same exact word, E-N-P-L-I-S. They say the final M is plural, and it's because it looks like an S, and it is an S when it's on the end. And so this isn't Nephilim, it's the nipples. But they'll say this Nephilim only comes up 3 times in the Bible. And then in Numbers 13:33, it comes up twice, but it's spelled 2 different ways. It's spelled with an extra I in here, and then here it's the same way, E-N-P-L-I-S, except it's got a tack and it reads backwards and forwards on both of these. And if we click on this word number, it's Nephilim, giants, name of 2 peoples, one before the flood and one after the flood. So if we go back 1 chapter, Genesis chapter 5, the sentence of Adam, it starts with this cipher, told it, made by us in Ramiel, B-R-A and then Mayel. Ramiel was the first fallen angel to help Lucifer. And it's where remedial comes from. So this is the first word in the Bible when it says God created, Genesis 1:1, in the receipt, in the recipe, in remedial, in Ramiel, in the first knowledge, Mael. And so it's telling the first knowledge here, the sense of Adam, and it's all kind of goes in a pattern. And the suns are bings, and it means marks of time, B-N-I-S, bings, and those means mark of times. And you see how the daughter is of in what? W-T. She always have the T in the daughters, in the connected writings, of in the connected writings, sons and daughters, the bings of in what? The times of in what? Sons and daughters, times of in what? And it'll hold this pattern all the way down till it gets to Enoch. And Enoch is different and gets taken up. He lives 360 years and gets taken up. The time of a circle, the amount of days in the ancient calendar, 360. And then this loses pattern. It starts talking about stories then, from Methuselah to Noah. But what it's actually saying here in this Methuselah to Noah, it's saying that the magic is getting off. And he could see how the precession of the equinox was working. And he passed that information down to this what they call Noah. And this isn't Noah, this is just an NH. So this is Y frat 2, and he called. And the WY means how. How frat 2, and then backwards and forwards UM. How frat to some SMU, the summon. How frat to summon HL, Hill, Homer command. How frat to summon Hill, Homer, ZE, this, it. You look up the movie It in the Hebrew title, it'll look just like that, it. How frat to summon, he'll command it, in coming to, I-N-H, chet, come, in coming to, from, from, motion to, in coming. How frat to summon, he'll command it, in coming from motion. That's where the word Moses come from, motion. And then two, Vav connected these two, and from ox, ox, the ox, and then b in oxen, and from oxen when hand into yod, hand in two, and from oxen when hand into men, them day, emda, them day had from life. The men, them day had from life, backwards and forwards. Men of the past. The men, them day had from life. Raise, backwards, ERRA, era. The raise era. You. Let the men from the past know that you done raise the error. You raise their error. You spotted it. And then when it's talking about this birth of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, it's just not. This is the wage, how they, the wage, Anna, Ben, HNA, honor. The wage, Anna, Ben, backwards, forwards. Some comes from of what? MAVT. From of what? From what? Shine. The wage, Anna, Ben, some comes from of what? Shine. And then who willed, WLD, willed. Who willed, NHTA, not to. Who willed not to miss, M, backwards, forward, MSS, to miss Thomas, TOTAMHS, Thomas, Hebrew word for twins, Gemini. What top make put? WAT, what, and then back forward, TP, IPT, the top make put. And so what's happening, when the book of Adam was written, this crossing here that's now in Pisces, the book of Adam was written to Gemini, Thomas, the twins. And you know how the story says, here's the flood, and then after the flood, the white bull came out of the boat. It was a white bull. And then it was the time of Toro. And that's what this story's about. So I got this Genesis 6:4 pulled off in the Greek and the Hebrew and lined up. But let me work my way down to it in the Hebrew. It's easier to read. This is called the wickedness of man. So this is wage. It's never and it came to pass. It's Vav, connect, make the work. Yod, he, yod, make the work. And this is K-I, and then backwards and forwards, L-H, K-I-L-E, keel, and then E, the, H-L, keel the hull. Keel the hull is when you drag a old boat up and turn it over and strip all the rot and redo it when you keel the hull. Lay keel is build a new boat. But if you look at this, it's the wage of, key is the old Sumerian word for earth. And then backwards and forwards, of heal, H-E-H-L, heal. The wage to heal the earth. But the wage to kill the hull had from, H-A-D-M. M is pronounced S or from. Kill the hull had from the old boat that Adam made. Of revol, R-V-O-L, of revol in ping, backwards and forwards, I-N-P-N-I, of revol in place, had me, H-A-D-M-E, had me, my job. The wage was had me. The wage to kill the hull had from, of revol in place, had me. And what he's doing, he's turning, returning all the astrology to line the magic back up. And then the daughters, of in what, U-V-N-W-T, of in what, of Nut. Nut was the Egyptian night sky, Nut was all the stars, of Nut, of the daughter, of in what, yield to, Y-L-D, to, if you plant, yield is what you get back. And of the night, yield to, of in what, yield to, less. They're not getting as much out of the magic because their astrology, their cycles is off. And then whereof, W-I-R-A-V, whereof, and this isn't Bing's, we've had a dot in the middle of it, the B here would be a B, but this is in-nigh, Miel, in N-I, and then backwards and forwards, M-I-E-L. Nimiel, Nimiel is Spanish or Latin, and in French that would be Pas de Miel. That miel is the same word, and in English that would be no honey, no miel. Miel was also the Nordic word for honey. It was the old word from the old language, and it means not sweet. No honey, not sweet. The astrologers getting off in whereof in the nigh Miel, M-I-E-L-A. And Miel is also the backbone, your backbone. And it's also from Yella, from the sun. And it's, the first, from the backbone. The first is the 12 signs, the 12 astrologer signs where the sun house is in. And so in not sweet, Nimiel, H-A-L-E, hail is. Hail is where you come from. Hail is, I hail from Mississippi. And so in not sweet hail is, whereof in not sweet comes from, to tune, T-O and then backwards, T-U-N, to tune, ben, B-N, and what? To the tune, ben what? But yeah, the tune in nut, the night sky, whereof in not sweet comes from, to the tune, ben what? Ben, the time spent, B-N, in cycle, or in ben what had from, to give Thabatine. Thabatine is beautiful, but it doesn't mean beautiful. A Thavat is a 3-year-old sheep, and a T-E-N-E is a teen, is 13. To give 13. So 13 is talking about the lunar cycles. You get 13 moons a year. And then the wife. They got wives over here, but this isn't. This is wife. W-I-Q-H. W-I-F-E. Wife. W-I-P-H-H. Or W-I-P-H-E. The wife to. And it means, where it matches up to, where it fits to. The wife to. The Tabatine, the 13 wife to less. L-E-S. To less nice is. Not so nice, N-S-I-S. Things that fit good are knockin', N-K-N, knockin', and things that don't fit so good are less nice is. Oh, that don't fit real nice. From the colors, remember the colors in that chart, everything was color coded, and even in black and white, they had methods of running the squiggly lines that gave meaning of color. If you see a lot of squiggly lines together, that's water, and it means blue. And straight lines are yellow, the sunshine rays. And so the shapes of lines could give you the meaning of the color in black and white. From the colors, B-H-R-U, in her too. Why Homer you Lanu did win. And this tells off a lot right here. Why, how command you, La, and then backwards, N-U-D-I-D-U-N. Why command you? How command you, Lanu did win. And so Lanu is ancient word, worldwide word for lane. You can see it here. It was old German, English, Frisian for lane, street. And you could tell it's an old word from the land of Mu, because even in Native America, Lanu is people passing one another at the Pata ceremony when running around the pole. Hey, stay in your lane over there so we don't crack heads. That kind of suggested the real Hebrews were the Native Americans. And there's always been a connection between the British, the sailors in Americas. They knew it was here. They were traveling around the whole time. Because you'll find it all over in Hebrew too, in writings and songs, and they give it another meaning, Lanu. And they say it's the one carrying your burden. And it's from Luna. Blessed be the Lord who daily carries our burden. But I never use a Hebrew definition if a word has a definition in English or Spanish, because their story's crazy. It just won't make sense if I do. How Homer you Lane did when Rue evades lulls in shags who of serve you. The Jimmy to May was recession, RISSHNE, was recession. Who command, how Homer, why Homer, how command you of the lane, the Lanu, the lane did when, how you commanded the lane when the Rue evades. And so, Rue, they say, is spirit. It's the first witch. When you're going to cook up a gumbo, you make a Rue, first witch. The first witch evades. The spirit evades when hide evades. Lulls, a downtime. Lulls in shags, in hookups. The lulls in shags. Who of serve you. View has two different spellings, VEIW and VIEW. And one is outside looking in and one's inside looking out. And so it's always talking about the gods, which are the planets and the stars, and it talks about them like they're on Earth, and they have their loves and their wives and their hookups when they're wifed together in the same place, and when they evade. And so the first which evades lulls in shags, who of serve you. The Jimmy to, the day to May was recession. The day to May was recession. The day to May is Easter, the crossover, Passover. The day to May was recession. And so it was backing up, the recession's backing up. Throughout our year, we're going to see the sun traveling this way every day. It's going to travel another click, another degree. But this crossover, like I say, this crossover here is May, is Easter. And it was happening over here, and it's backing up, and it's leaving Gemini and going into Taurus. Easter's supposed to fall between 22nd of March and 25th of April. When it starts ending up at May, it's time to recess the astrology. It was recession. Then the nipple is. The nipples, they of arch. They too in arch. They, UV. They of arch at the top of arch. In Jimmy sees. In the day sees. And goes gyro backwards. Gyros turn. The high row. It's also Jerusalem, the sacred knowledge was the gyro. But it's also the iron, and then backwards first, and gay. The ironic end. The nipples they of arch in day sees, and goes ironic in. And so this is the nipples here. At 13, she's up in her sock, and then she's growing older, and the nipples are still in the sock. And then when it's full, after you done had some kids and they've been nursed on for a while, them nipples are sagging down low, And then they got to be jacked up. You can see it in this word on the top of the mountain, the bras, B-R-A-S-E-E-R, the brazier. And so, usually bra, they say, is created. Brazier is, they're up on the top of the mountain, in the day of creation. But later on in life, the old nipples are the fallen, the Nephilim, the fallen. The top of the mountain, the brazier, the top of the mountains, the brazier. Use here for behold, he who forms the mountains and creates. And here's the bra. But it's the keen, K-I-E-N, derived from Celtic origin, meaning the ancient one. Variant spelling of the English and Irish Cain, K-I-E-N, K-I-A-N, the ancient one. Keen, they what's re-rise to bra, or of our first which guide, first which them guide lads. She puts them up in a bra, jacks them up to guide the lads from thee, which is who os, os is sweet. So all your sugars in with os, dextrose, sucrose, but also lactose, os. From thee, which is who os, share, how face to direct. Usually I always say this is the way to direct. How pay, the face, to direct. All it from in mighty share, you yell. Two of its in ought, some two. Is what you ought to do. Two of its, VTS, its in ought, some two. We're going to look at this one too before we get there. It's got this word, in gover, in G-V-U-R, gover, with power and gover. And that's the one they say is mighty men. But it's making arise, E-R-I-S, the mountains, back who knows are in gover. So this is all about highs and lows and getting the nipples to match up on the highs and the lows. And you just, in order to get sailors to pay attention, you have to make everything about girls, It's the only way to get them to pay attention and remember. The nipples, they connect in, they of arch, on the top. In Jimmy's seas, in Day's seas, days gone by. And goes gyro, turn the knock in, turn the good fit in, the ironic in. Receive of, R-S-A-I-V-A-V, receive of. And so this is no longer in Nemiel. It doesn't have the tack here, and it has a dot in the B. You see here, the sons of God. It didn't have the dot in the B. So it was a V, and it didn't have the tack to have you read this backwards and forwards. And so it looks like the same word, but it's not. It's Bing. It's to mark the time. To receive of Bing, the mark of time, hail is, where it's from. To mark the time where it's from. Latin, L-A-T-U-N, been what? Had from. The Latin been what had from. Who yield to less seem, C-M-E. Who yield to less seem, the gabber is. The gover didn't have the dot in the B, but this is the gabber. The gabber is somebody with the gift of gab, the talker. The gabber is race from owls. And the gabber is raised from owls. And so the gab that comes from owls only say one thing, who. And wild will this seem, the gabber is raised from owls, is Noes. That's your word for Noah right there, is Noes. The N-A-E, the A, they often give it the O, as in when it says not is low, L-A, they say it's low, is Noes. And so a couple of meanings here, but one of them is right here, that this is a S. And the gabber is the race from owls. The owls, the pictures on the money, the old and wise, is the Noesses. The Noesses. And this means to know that this is a S and not an M. The race from owls is Noesses. But there's another meaning in here, and said Balaam to the donkey, because you have abused me. When Balaam was kicking his donkey was Latin, L-A-T-U-N, Latin. And Latin is the most difficult of all the Bibles. And so when receive of time from yell, the donkey, the Latin, the donkey been what had from, willed to less blood, the gabber is raised from owls is no ass. So when it talks about somebody riding the donkey in the Bible, it means they were speaking Latin. In the opposite over here in the Greek, the story of Balaam and the donkey. Here's the donkey here. And it's a lot more difficult to read. It has a lot more marks that have you read it backwards and forwards. And so it's here you read this W-E, and this mark tells you to go to the other end. It says W-E-N and then E. When the P-I, and then this mark tells you to read it back this way from here. When the piping, and then the B is a V, Vala. When the piping Vala omitted, you read this A-M-T and then H, and this line under here has you read this backwards to the T and then back this way. So it's when the piping Vala omitted. And then the H reads again with this, and this tells you to start from the other end. And then this mark tells you to go to the other end again. So it reads this H and then O, and then O, N, O, N, O. And so when the piping Vala omitted, when they're piping in the Val or the victor, they're blowing the horns. And then who, H-O, Anna, no, and then this tells you to read this just backwards one time, I-T-O, it too. When piping Vala omitted, who Anna know it too. And so, it's an honorable thing to ride the donkey. It's Latin, but they give it the donkey. But over here in this Greek opposite, in this Genesis 6:4, across from this Latin, in the time from yell, the Latin been what had from. Here it's forstaz. This Greek's much more difficult. It has a lot of extra punctuation. It has you reading backwards and forwards and middle through words. But it's P-R-O, force, T-A-S, forstaz. The forstaz, and then this T-H-U, two is like to or through the gate. The forstaz through gate, raise, tuned. And then this tells you to read this word backwards and forwards. And so it's no. It's not just men. It's no pour, P-O-O-R. No pour the knowing thereupon. And it's talking about the Latin language. And none of the poor people know the Latin. No, N-O-P-O-O-R-T-H. The knowing, N-A-N. The non, the knowing thereupon. Or are they saying no portent, on thereupon, as in it's not important to learn. But yeah, the Latin is really difficult. I think it's Pig Latin. I think it works with the 72 code. I did a movie back last year on, and it seems to be all Pig Latin written in the 72 code. But here they're saying, Latin was a thing of the past. And in the story of Balaam, they say it's the mule, the donkey, as in the base. So this word for giants in the Greek is, the Gigantes. And it's got the mark over the I. So this reads OI and then another I that goes with this DE. How hand the gig, GIG. How hand the gig antes. And so antes, ANTI is against, pro is for and anti against. But this anti is a representation. It's like ante up. If you want cards, represent yourself in the pot. You have to put in your ante to get cards. And it's a representation. How hand the gig, the jig, the gig. Jig is dancing, and the hand gig is the hand signs. The antes represents, the chirology, how the Latins were hiding their secrets in the hand signs, in the hand jig. And so that's why you don't see any giants in the water in the pictures, and we're not digging up these giants. There's a lot of people faking it, but it's not happening. Because they were giant heads. They were smart. And how hand the jig represents. Nose is on. NOSNASHSAN. That's why you see in all this old biblical artwork, the artists always went out of the way to pass some hand signs. They always have something to say with their hands. And if your eye offends thee, pluck it out. You don't see the sign. It's like a secret cult with their hand signs. And only the club knows. The orator's gestures. So he can say one thing and mean something else. There's always a secret meaning in there. Alright, I'm going to get this loaded, and I'm going to transfer a bunch of those other movies. I think all but 2 of them I can transfer to this channel. But yeah, I want y'all to subscribe to that Jesus Christ channel, because that's where I'll be putting movies that I can't put on here. Things that I know they'll take down. And I'm going to have to break down and spend some time studying those hand signs and matching them up so I can remember. And it'll probably make this reading a whole lot easier. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Good day.